Welcome to Behind Every Employer, where leaders in business and education from across the country share solutions for sourcing, training, and growing frontline talent to create the workforce of tomorrow. This broadcast is brought to you by the Coalition on Adult Basic Education. To learn more, check us out at www.coabe.org or any of your favorite podcast sites. Now, here are your hosts, Anson Green and Jeffrey Abramowitz.
Hello there, Anson. How are you?
I'm doing great, Jeff. Hey, man, you got a tie on. What's going on?
I know. I figured in honor of how hot it is in Texas right now, I was going to wear a tie. I'm on the East Coast. And I figured, man, I got to tell you, I don't usually wear one, but I had some things going on. I needed to wear it today and figured I'd spruce up the show a little bit, give us a little class, a little style. And how you doing?
Very good. I'm doing great. You know, it's only 103 degrees, but it only feels like 105. So, you know, we're used to that out here in Texas. I'm doing great, though, man. The work is great. And we've got a great guest today. And I want to thank our listeners. We've had some really great guests on in the last few episodes, and I'm getting good feedback from folks. So if you are a new listener, go check us out on behindeveryemployer.org and subscribe to this podcast on all your favorite subscription services, because we really are pouring these good episodes out. We're bringing businesses that are working with entry-level, lower-skilled adults that really want to talk about solutions to the table. And I'll tell you what, for me, it has just become this ripple effect of new contacts and allies. I even have a work group of businesses that meet every month, and we just talk shop about what we're doing related to immigrant services, related to English as a second language, training, digital skills. So it's really helped me, and I think it'll help our listeners to kind of just hear what's going on. That's how our guest today and I met. We met through kind of another acquaintance, and it's been a fast friendship. So real happy to get him on here. And let me tell you about him. His name's Mathew Jerlecki. He works at a company up in Elkhart, Indiana called Lippert. They're all over the country, 15,000 team members. So I'm going to have him tell us all about this organization and what they do over there. But he's been working on bringing English as a second language, high school equivalency, as well as technical training, automation training, all kinds of different certifications to that nationwide network. And he does it in partnership, like you and I do, with public entities, with community colleges and public schools and others. And so it's just a great new guest to hear for us, a new contact for me. So let's bring him on and let's get the discussion going.
There you go.
Good evening, guys.
Hey, Matthew.
Hey, how's it going, Matthew?
Fantastic. I heard your intro. Yes, I will definitely reiterate what you said. People out there should follow this podcast, subscribe for sure. I listened to all the prior episodes. There's really some helpful information for everybody in this sector. So
awesome,
I definitely concur with that thought.
I love it. Okay, we can stop the show now. We got our advertisement that we need from
3 minutes and 33 seconds. I love it. Stop the show. But I got something I got to broach with Mathew here, because I just loved it when I read his bio. So Mathew, you and I share something back in our past as far as a skill and an expertise, and we probably have lots of war stories to share. But like you, many years ago, I ran a chain of coin car washes and self-service laundromats in Austin, Texas. So
if the podcast was like 4 hours, we could probably get through all those stories. But I did not know. It's you know what's funny about that is it taught me like extremely valuable lessons about like time and like customer service. Because as you know, and I think about that even in a daily life now, like a quarter at a time, a quarter. So how valuable is somebody's time at a quarter a time? So you need to be looking at every minute of every day, because how many quarters did it take me to get 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour of someone's pay? So, there's a lot of those stories.
Hey, you know what it taught me? It taught me a couple of things. It taught me how to get up at 3 a.m. so I can go change the coin machines. And it taught me how to clean car washes in parts of town where there's just lots of activity overnight and vandalism and things like that. So I really got a lot of good skills on refurbishing and getting those car washes ready by the time the
Oh
sun
yeah.
came up. Oh
Oh
my
yeah.
God.
Yes.
My heart, I just loved it when I read that in your biography. I've never met anybody that was a colleague and a veteran of the coin car wash
Oh yeah.
industry here.
Or the joke with, like you said about early, but also, as you know, they're open 7 days a week, 24 hours a
Oh yeah.
day. So, and you got the key. So when the change machine goes down, hey, who's going to, take care of that? So, oh
Yeah,
yeah, that
my
also,
situation was I had the key and my boss had my pager number. This was before cell phones, and he was always off elk hunting somewhere, and I was the one on call every day. So yeah, I remember a lot from that job. It did teach me a lot about work ethic, and it taught me maybe to go to college because I couldn't do that much longer. So great to have you on. And so let's tell us about yourself and tell us about Lippert and what this company does. And then I want to get into your workforce, your training, education, these things, because you and I are recently just colleagues. We just started meeting and talking and immediately clicked together on some real similar themes and themes I think our audience will just really enjoy. So let's hear it.
so I'll give you 3 seconds about me. I'm the director of learning. So we have a small team that takes care of learning for Lippert. And that's everything from Excel, GED to sewing, PLC, industrial maintenance, EHS, and everything in between. About Lippert, we have roughly 15,000 team members. We're a global company, and we're 100% manufacturing. I mean,
Wow.
we make things. So we make every single thing you can think of that goes on an RV. We don't make RVs, but we also make every school bus window in the United States.
Wow.
We make high-speed rail glass and windows in
Wow.
Europe. We're a big vendor for manufactured housing as well, not just RV. We make marine. We have a large marine division that makes boat seats, tops, countertops, you name it. So the list goes on and on. But we're heavy manufacturing. So that's what we do every single day.
Fantastic. Well, I went by one of your facilities, I think outside of Portland, Indiana. And I all of a sudden I started realizing, hey, this company's got a footprint everywhere. Of course, that's near your house. I didn't know it was worldwide. So this is fantastic.
Yep.
So tell us, you and I connected, and then we've talked subsequently, and I really want to hear, and I think our listeners will really benefit from this story of like how this vision of education and training has evolved at the company, even since you've been there. And kind of what that evolution was like, what was driving it, what was that value proposition for team members and for the company that they were trying to build or building through their training and education model.
Well, just like most companies, we're always trying to look for and attract talent. Like everyone has open positions, and you can put any ads you want on Indeed and Monster and whatever, and they're just not out there.
Right.
But that's easy to say, okay, well, we need to, work with our existing team members that are successful, get them trained and move them into higher skilled positions. Well, okay, who's going to do that? Because
Right.
everyone we have is stretched thin, and we joke they have a day job. So, how can we harness whatever those local assets are to solve this problem? Because again, we know that we've identified, we know they need trained. We have these open positions. So how can we do it? And so we started to look at our local technical colleges that have spent a lot of money recently.
Yeah.
And both of you are familiar, and I'm sure our audience is familiar. Not just states, but federal have poured millions and millions of dollars into this initiative. But okay, how does it actually work? Because typically, you go to your local community college and they give you the course catalog and say, hey, we'd love to have your students. We'll help you fill out grants. We'll do all this stuff. But, oh, by the way, the classes meet every Tuesday and Thursday from 9 to 10:15.
Yes.
And you're like, okay, well, they're working, and we can't let them leave every Tuesday and Thursday in the middle of the day and come back and actually, get done what we need to get done to satisfy our customers.
Right.
So
Great.
we just kind of took said, let's think outside the box, and said, okay, and we started here locally, and said, okay, how can we make this work? Make this work for both of us so that this is a win. Because obviously, if we have more students, we're running more classes, the college is making more money, and we're meeting the goal of training the people that we need trained. So we sat down with our local college, Ivy Tech here in Elkhart, South Bend, and said, what if we kind of split the difference here? Could we run a class on Wednesdays from 1 to 5 p.m. instead of like a true night class?
Right.
Would that be something that could work? And then they started looking at their professor schedule and go, well, we don't really have anything in that window, because if you go to most community, they're heavy in the morning, heavy at night.
And then at night,
there's this big band of window where there's nothing going on. So could we tap into those resources of professors and use them in a period when you don't have high demand for them? And they go, this might work. And then I also said, the other thing that's difficult is, for us to plan, 4 months, typical semester, 16 weeks. That's not always easy for us because, as you know, demand is doing this.
Sure.
Could we condense 16 weeks into 8? Because we didn't want to go less than that, because again, you have to have time as you're learning to process and read and assimilate. So we didn't want to go too far, but we wanted to see if we could get it to 8. And they looked at the number of course hours and things like that, and they go, we could probably make that work, right? And so we said, all right, let's try this, right? Let's try it. And then we could take that model, sit down with our operation folks and say, okay, we know you don't want them leaving at all during the day, but typically our production schedule 6 to 2:30-ish, somewhere in there. Could you give up, an hour or two, to get back 32 hours of training? So like you're going to get 8 hours and get 32 hours of training that no one in your facility is going to have to do. And operations said, we can probably make that work. And then we looked at the team member side and said, okay, team member, you're still going to be able to get home for dinner. If you have childcare issues, it might be an hour and a half, but it's not going to be 2 nights a week or things like that.
Right.
We will make sure that you won't lose any wages. So you can work a little extra Tuesday, a little extra Thursday to make up that hour and a half. So all 3 of the components fit together. So they got a win out of it. Right. And we said, okay, let's try it. So, roughly, I guess it's been almost 2 years now. We started with one SACA, which is a national accredited class for basic electricity. And it went great. And I don't mean from my perspective, but like the students, like, this was great. Like I got this certificate. I learned something new. They were able to go back, tell their, supervisors, team members, this is great. So we went from 1 to 2, and then we're running 3 or 4 of these classes in 8-week windows. Every single time they're 8-week windows. And the model worked so well, it's expanded to, okay, now let's go talk to our local adult ed, from K-12. Hey, I know you run these GED, HSE, they call them in Indiana, high school equivalency classes at night. You think you could fit this into our, we call it Lippert Wednesdays. And they go, sure. Because again, a lot of those teachers are retired teachers that are doing those jobs. Hey, you mean I could get done at 5 o'clock instead of 7 or 8 o'clock?
Yes.
Sure, I'll teach that class, right? So they were able to hire a couple teachers. And Ivy Tech, our community partner, because we had that relationship, they're donating classrooms, which is awesome because then they can go to the same place. And so we started that. And then again, that went well. And then now we've added, quality classes where we're, and supply chain. And we're in August starting for our human resources department where they're going to work towards getting their SHRM certification. Wow. And we're going to add lean and EHS like in the fall. So because the model works, then people can look and go, I could probably give up my person for 2 months for 8, it's only 8 Wednesdays. Like this is not horrible. Okay, how can we start training ours?
Right. So you have this block of time that everybody can kind of focus around. So that brings efficiencies because you're not sitting there trying to schedule every unique course around somebody else's schedule. You say like, this is it, Lippert Wednesdays. I love the name. I love just the clarity of that. And then you've gotten the production team and the business on board. And I love your calculation of like giving up an hour to get the 32 hours of that there's the value proposition for them. Team members, you've worked that out, and the scheduling is good because there's nothing more disruptive than having to leave work and then go home. Kids are home doing homework, cooking dinner, whatever you're doing, and then you got to go back somewhere else. That just doesn't tend to happen. I can tell you too. I used to run a community college campus. This is a huge win for faculty because the hardest thing to do is to tell a faculty member, I can give you more hours, but you got to go home at 11 and come back at 5:30 because they got to split their shift. So now you're filling up, which is really, as you identified, the deadest part of a school schedule, especially a college schedule, where they're looking for things to do. And faculty would love to say, hey, I'll pick up that day shift or that afternoon shift. So, man, I really like how these pieces fit together. Jeff, what do you think about this?
So this is incredible. I love it. And what I love best about the whole thing is really that you're teaching them what you need in the employment world. You're teaching them what they need to be successful in employment. And that is so challenging right now because so many times we can help them get the high school equivalency, help them get the high school diploma, but it's the what next, like what happens next with it. And that's often the challenge. And when you have an employer, so how hard was this a sell to your company? Like you guys have done a lot to really make this happen, and how hard was it to really convince everybody at the top of the chain, look, we need to invest in this, is what we need to do?
At first, we had an identified need, so it was easy to talk to. You go into our facilities and talk to on the ground supervisors, leaders, plant managers in the facilities, and they're like, we need help with this, but they weren't able to translate into, okay, well, this is how you can exactly help me. And so because, again, there was a lot of grant money available, we applied for an Indiana Next Level Jobs money through our Workforce Development Office. And we said, so it made it an easy sell when I could say that, it's not costing us anything. So what are we out if we try this? Truly it was, what are we out if we try this? We're out 8 hours of production of this one person. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens.
Right.
And so again, the feedback came from the team members. They were the ones going back telling their team members, this is great. Can I take the next course? So it became a much easier sell. And then it just kept morphing and growing from there to other departments. Like I said, like lean or supply chain or the others going, you think that would work for us?
What about us?
We get on the bandwagon, and it's just demonstrated to work. It's just repeatably worked. And then, which has been, amazing the last 6 months or so, now we're starting to duplicate this in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. We're kicking it off in August. We're going to be able to come to your neck of the woods in Texas there, in Seguin and Waxahachie, in January, because again, now I can tell a community college, don't believe me, call Ivy Tech Community College and find out if it was good for them. So that's been the real easy sell is I have every group I can say, don't ask me, go ask somebody else to see what they think.
Matthew, I'm curious, how many of your participants are really low-level learners or ESL learners where there's special attention from the education end that needs to be given? And how do you deal with that?
Okay, so all of the above, all of the above. So great stories. So the first class that we ran, and I won't forget it, the first class we ran, we're giving a tour because we're required, because again, these are people that didn't go to college. Their parents didn't take them on tours when they were, juniors in high school. Right. So we built in an orientation to make sure that they get a tour. They know they have access to the computer lab. If you ever want to go get your degree, there's counselors available. And we're walking around, and this is somebody, I'm guessing, 40, 42 years old. And they, tug on the shirt of one of my team members and go, hey, do you think I'll get a college ID? And just, but just think about that question and all that means to someone. And yes, we have built into these classes with everyone we're working with. There's a half hour, we call it open lab from 5 to 5:30. So the team member's not required to stay, but the professor is, so that if you need help, because yes, some of these classes, like, our basic electricity, they haven't done math, formalized math in 15 years. And, even basic electric, there's a lot of math. Okay, what wire size for this size breaker and et cetera. And so we're trying to provide those supports either through that individual professor time or, outside that class to help them. And obviously the GED program is getting them ready so that they can do that college level work, both the reading, writing, and the math.
That's great.
Fantastic. Hey, so I'm just so excited about hearing about this. So I want to ask you a little bit more about just the response from team members. I can't imagine it's not positive, but is this something that's been just a self-recruiter in terms of people saying, hey, when does the next class start? Talk to us a little bit about that.
So we, I guess I'll mention what we're using now. So we actually built, we have our corporate website, lci1.com, but we had so many questions, when we would go to facilities and try and have these meetings, we built a separate website, lippertuniversity.com,
really,
just so that it's easy for me to be able to say, hey, what are all the courses you're offering? Just go to lippertuniversity.com. You can apply there, all the information. So we got a flyer on every one of the courses.
Perfect.
And you're exactly right. We schedule 2 graduations a year. We call them graduations, where we recognize anyone that's completed a course thing. So we just had one in June. And to segue just a little, the great thing about these micro courses is after they've taken 1 or 2, now we can introduce the idea of an apprenticeship to them, U.S. Department of Labor apprenticeship.
Absolutely.
Where now you can take 3 or 4 of these. And they're like, this would be great. So we had 6 people receive their U.S. Department of Labor advanced manufacturing 1-year apprentice at our June graduation. And it was awesome to see, the team member had their parents and their kids there when they got this, because we had representatives from workforce and whatever, help us presenting. But they got, it's just awesome. It's just, you can't have more fun than that. And they're having fun. And you don't think they're going back telling other team members, other people in the community? Of course they are. Of course they are.
Exactly. So tell me a little bit, what is your role in this? Who is doing there's a lot of logistics, there's a lot of scheduling, there's a lot of coordination and partnership building. Are you the head bottle washer on this? Are you the one that's doing all this stuff? How does that work? Or does it fall on the local facilities to do this?
We're managing it for them. Now we have, so when we sign someone up for the class, so yes, I'm the one basically communicating with the community colleges to get these set up. I'm the point person with, the grant agency. So we have Lilly grants, we have, workforce grants, state, U.S. Department of Labor. So that is kind of, I look as my role. So we have local, HR department production. And so they apply through the learning team. And then I have 2 people on my team, Kate and Jenny, that handle a lot of the logistics, the day-to-day logistics. Sure. And so when you apply, we send back to the facilities, an e-document that we get, plant manager, general manager, their direct supervisor, if it's a quality course or lean or whatever, the lean director and HR, all to sign to say, okay, I know Matt's going to be here on Wednesday. Nice. So that helps us keep the team member accountable and all these other people saying, I know there might have been a problem at work today, but Matt's still going to class on Wednesday. So
this is a great model.
It helps, right? It helps on both sides. And then Kate and Jenny are awesome on our team. We use a texting service. So when they apply, we send the team member a text. Yeah. When everything's registered, we send them a text. We send them a text a week before class starts with a flyer. Park here. This is the door you go in. What's your room number? Yeah, right. So there's a lot of that, but it really helps the team member. They really appreciate that.
So it almost sounds too good. It does. It almost sounds too good. And I'm sitting here, I'm saying, oh yeah, man, why So I can understand why employers across the country maybe don't engage, because I don't know that they want to invest in getting grants and all that. But come on, you got to be honest with Matthew. There's got to be something that kind of is a ripple in all this. Like, is it all as good as it sounds? And as you talk to other employers and they ask questions, what do they doubt about this whole model and how it's
okay?
working?
So 2 wins here. One, I would be remiss if I did not mention. So Jason Lippert, our CEO, okay, we have a corporate mission that he has been on for roughly 10 years. And you go to our website, you ever hear him speak, he's going to say business as a force for good. Like, it's straightforward. It should be a force for good in the community. And obviously starting with our team members that live in the community. And this, I say it because it makes me feel good. And then when I talk to the other people in other departments, I can say, hey, we're doing it every day. Like, that business is force for good. We see it. To talk to you about when I talk to other employers. So in our August quality class, so we've run this here and then we run it in Fort Wayne. We're running 2 sessions of it back in Elkhart in August, 100 level and 200. Well, we're a supplier to a company that actually makes RVs. Well, they're so excited about hearing what we're doing. They're sending 4 of their team members into our class to join on our Lippert Wednesdays for this quality course, because they want to see for themselves, because they've heard so much positive feedback about it. You want us, like, you can come and join the classes? And we're like, absolutely, let's go. They're paid for. We have them scheduled. We got a couple extra spots. Let's go. So, sure, there's always going to be a logistic. And like I said, working with the community college, make sure they have enough professors and figuring out where they're going to come from and making sure they have enough lead time. As you both know, sometimes you're waiting to the last minute on a grant, and the college doesn't work that way because they got to hire 6 months out. So those things get sticky now and then, but because we're far enough out in scheduling and working with grants and people, that's kind of leveled off a little.
You need the lead time. I love the model of, we did this in San Antonio when I worked at the college system here with Toyota. They have the Toyota Tundra factory here, and having the suppliers participate in training really helped us at the college, because if we were doing a training and we only had 7 people, we needed to get more to kind of make that solvent for the college. So they could bring in supplier partners. You're doing kind of the flip with your main companies there that make the RV, joining in on your hot gig there with your training model, and that's probably teaching them a few lessons or 2, which brings more value to them. I mean, it really helps bolster the reputation of Lippert in their eyes, I'm sure. Oh man, this is really, really exciting. All right, so and then I'm of course extremely exciting about this thing I heard about 15 minutes ago, which is you're coming to Texas.
Yes.
So this is fantastic. I got a word of wisdom here though, coming to Texas. Before you cross the Red River, it's Waxahachie, Texas. And it's Seguin, Texas, named after one of the defenders of the Alamo, and it's only like 18 miles from my house, so we might be seeing each other soon here.
All right.
But we're excited to have this. This is fantastic.
I think I said Seguin right, and trust me, pronunciation, you might as well forget it. So I'll get as close as I can get. But yes, and again, the community college there has been extremely open to the idea. The workforce development office there immediately opened their arms and said, oh, you've already got this community partner. And again, it's nice because we built the website. Yes, it's 100% for the team members, but I can direct a workforce office and say, hey, what are you going to do? How's this going to work? Go look. Like, this is we want to duplicate this here. And we know it works. So it makes it
fantastic.
Easy.
Do you see any of your employees going post-secondary? Any of them showing interest in going to college and moving on?
Yes. So this is what's been nice is the other thing that we attacked at the beginning was a lot of the funding, as you know, is like there's a lot of straight line apprentice funding. Like, okay, you sign this person up, here's how much you get. Well, the difficulty for our team members is the same difficulty we have as the company. You're telling me you want me to sign up for something for 2 years? Like, I may have not had a job for 2 years at the same employer. So that doesn't work. So as we walk them into 1 class, 2 class, plus we can condense it, because instead of a 16-week semester, in a 16-week, you can get 2 classes out of the way. So that's how we've been able to register so many apprentices. I think we're up to 30, and we're probably at 60 at the end of next month. Because they see the value and go, okay, I'll do it. And now out of the apprentices, now we can say, hey, do you know that you're X number of credits short from a 34-hour certification or 60-hour associate's degree? Oh, okay. How do I do that?
Wow.
So that's our next, way that we can help the team members as we're building towards that.
Great
Fantastic. Stuff. Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine you're seeing just some really good numbers when it comes to retention, because now you've given your workers more than one reason. You got a paycheck, but now you've got this investment in their educational future in a system that really feels robust and durable. It's a lot different than, tuition reimbursement or something where it's like you're on your own and just send us the bill at the end of the semester and we'll pay it. This is you and your team. A lot of nurturing that kind of keeps the mechanisms running. And the student can just say, hey, I know the class will be there. I know when it's going to be. And all these logistics are being worked on by my company, man. I really want to stay there. I mean, so this is a really nice retention piece for Lippert for sure. So we want to round out here, because we could talk. We're going to bring you back for a second podcast. I can tell you that right now. I want to ask you, so just lifting back and thinking about this, what recommendations or suggestions would you have for other employers that might be listening right now and thinking, wow, we need to be doing this? Like, how would they get started? What were some kind of first steps that you think would be really best lessons learned for people moving forward on this?
The 2 things I would do first, which is what we did, is research what funding is available for you, because it doesn't matter what organization you're in. If it's not the first question, it's going to be the second. What is this going to cost me? So find out what funding's available. And then 2, look at your operation. So it worked for us to be Wednesdays, because some plants we have work 4-day week, 4 10s. So we didn't want it to be Thursday, which is technically their weekend. So be realistic on what your work schedule is. Understand you're going to have to give up a little to get a lot. It's not going to be perfect for you, but you're going to have to give up something. And then once you have those 2, not 100% answered, but you've got a good idea, then go sit down with your community college, your technical college that's available to you, and say, okay, how could we make this work? And then be okay failing. Say, okay, we're going to try it for 8 weeks. Try it, see what happens. Hopefully it'll go great. But if it doesn't, maybe Tuesday works for you. Maybe 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. works for you. I don't know, but take a look and see, but be willing to try one. Go ahead and try it. You're not doing it now, so you're really not out anything, especially if you get some funding for it. So, go take a try.
I always tell people, when it comes to business, public college, or public school engagements, scheduling is you need to be ready to dedicate a quarter of your time in getting the schedule right at the beginning. If you don't, you're continually chasing all kinds of other things, including attendance and including people, enjoying this and being able to do it and all of that. And a lot of times, businesses that are new at this kind of just, say, well, the college says the class is at this time, and that's it. You've got this model where you said, hey, we really need to find a win-win for both of us here. And the scheduling is huge in what you're talking about. This whole podcast has really been about the Wednesday, the schedule, the shifts, getting back to the managers. All of these things are on your mind, top of mind. So you're spending a lot of time on that. And that's my advice always to employers. It's you might think about the curriculum first, you might think about certifications first. These things are all important, but none of those things happen if people can't make it to class, or if people can't stay in class, or they can't come on their day off, or don't want to come on their day off. So I really love that. Jeff, any last words before we go to our lightning round for Matthew?
Yeah, no, I just want to say that I think the model is great. I think more employers have to look at thinking about how they employ this. I know there's a term, and I integrated education training where you're learning math and contextually learning the job as well, and the skill set. I don't think there's enough employers like you guys out there that are doing this work, and I really encourage employers, especially if they're not real sure on the grant end and the funding end, that they should be asking. Ask your partners and ask around. There's a lot of funding that's out there right now, a lot of targeted funding that's helping these kind of programs, and you're giving somebody invaluable, which is a credential, and you're giving them that certification and something that can never be taken away. Outstanding work, really, really great stuff.
Well, I can tell you, Matthew, for me, having worked in this field and worked with low-skilled adults for many years, and being in Texas, there's one state and one group of people in the country that I count as a peer, someone that I can just sit there and really connect with, and it's the Indiana Adult Education Department, Workforce Development Division. So you're in good hands up there for sure, and I'm sure they're listening and they're probably like clapping, but we are good allies with them. I steal as much from them as they steal from us, and we have great models. And that's the thing that I think for our listeners that are out there that are in the public sectors, it's like, how can other states really build these responsive business first models, especially those for underskilled adults, because sometimes those groups are really left behind when it comes to being on the top of attention of businesses, as well as the top of attention of the public sector and colleges. And so it's really great to see that you've really found that mix. The Ivy Techs are just a fantastic system up there. And this has just been a great discussion. So Jeff, take us out for the lightning round. You're going to come back, Matthew, and you're going to charge our listeners with something they can go do after this phone call. So take us away, Jeff.
You got it.
You've been listening to Behind Every Employer with Anson Green and Jeffrey Abramowitz. It's one thing to talk the talk, but in the lightning round, which is coming up, we walk the walk with action steps. You can listen to Behind Every Employer podcast on YouTube, Spotify, or find us on your favorite podcast vendor.
All right, we're back. Here we go. So, Matthew, have you thought about it? Like, tell us what you're going to charge our audience with here, because you've got so many great ideas here.
I have, and it kind of ties exactly what Jeffrey and you said at the very end. All these grants, if you go in with the attitude of, look, the underpinning of all the grants are, I want the people that live in my community, my state, to make more money so that they will pay more taxes. Yeah. And live here and buy things and buy homes and stay here.
And stay here, yeah.
And so when you're asking for these grants, these are people and organizations that want to help you get the money. So a lot of people I've talked to, like, they're fearful about, like, oh, this is going to be hard. It's like, I'm going to have to pull teeth to get this. No. Yeah. So just be willing to go to your local. You've probably sent people to the same office to get unemployment, to do these things. You might have had a recruiting fair there.
Yeah.
They might be sending you. Go there and just say, okay, which one of you can help me find some funding to start up this X technical class? Or like you said, go to your local high school and say, hey, how do I start an HSE program? Like, can you help me do this? And trust me, there will be people that will be willing to help you.
Agree.
Like, they will be willing to help you because they know you're there because you're wanting to help somebody else. Like, I'm there not for, like, I'm not asking to get my degree. I'm asking so I can help somebody else get these skills. So
absolutely.
I'm challenging you to ask,
ask.
Ask. Right.
I love it. How about you? How about you, Jeff?
Yeah, so for my call to action is actually for the workforce developers listening to this call.
Nice.
Everybody out there that, we get approached all the time by employers saying, I can't find enough help. I can't find enough help. I need some talent, need more talent. I think what they got to do is they got to reach out to Mathew. They have to understand that there's their answer. There's a great solution for their company that takes a little bit of hard work, but there's a lot of benefit on the back end.
All right, fantastic. So one for me, mine is real simple. It's for the colleges and for the businesses, and it's to get on your phone and go back to the beginning of this episode and listen to it again, because there was so much good stuff in here. I can't wait to give it another view here. Mathew, it's just been fantastic. Tell us how we can find you on Twitter or LinkedIn or what have you. Are you on these networks?
Yeah, like on LinkedIn, just Mathew Jerlecki. You can find me. Twitter, Jerlecki Tech Lab. You'll find me. You might see some golf photos on there, but I'll post some things about work too. But either one, or just again, mjerlecki@lci1.com. If you go to again, LippertUniversity.com, you'll see how to get a hold of us. Like you'll see all the things that we're doing. You can see pictures from our graduation. I mean, they're all there. So, and I mean it. You guys have been fantastic, reaching out, helping me with things.
Sure.
I would be happy to share whatever I can with any of your listeners. So please
fantastic. Fantastic. Well, this has been a fantastic episode. We know how to find Mathew now. And like I said, go back and listen to this episode. It's just full of little diamonds there for workforce developers, for colleges, and for businesses that are getting a start in working with underskilled adults and all adults and team members at their workplaces in building, really upskilling for the next, innovations that are coming in manufacturing. That's what I loved about Mathew there. He's bringing this really heavy manufacturing focus, but really bringing an innovative training model to kind of keep that workforce durable as we innovate. So thank you.
All right, Anson, we're gonna call it a wrap here. But Mathew, thank you. Anson, great to see you, and we'll see you guys soon. Don't forget, check us out, Behind Every Employer podcast. Take care, everybody.
All right,
thank
take
you
it
all.
easy.
You've been listening to Behind Every Employer with Anson Green and Jeffrey Abramowitz. If you like the show, please follow us and tell your friends and colleagues. This broadcast has been brought to you by the Coalition on Adult Basic Education. You can find us at www.coabe.org. You can listen to us on Spotify, YouTube, or on your favorite podcast site. If you'd like to be a guest on Behind Every Employer, please contact us at behindeveryemployer@coabe.org.